Hi there folks, Donovan Seidel here. If you're seeing this, you've probably seen the Elgar video that I released a couple days ago. It's still doing well, it's trending, and it is going across the globe, which is very exciting. I've gotten a lot of questions from you as to how I did it. And I've sent out text guides, but I figured it might be a good idea to show you how I did it. None of this information is proprietary or anything. None of it is secret. I'm using tools that everybody has, and you can do it too. So I run everything on a Mac Pro. It's a nice, powerful machine. It's a little bit older, but it works just great. If you're using a PC, there are solutions for you. For example, for multi-tracking audio and recording several tracks of audio at the same time and manipulating them and working with it, you need something called a DAW. That is short for Digital Audio Workstation. There's a free solution called Reaper that you can download, and it is cross-platform. You can use it on either a Mac or PC. The video editing program I use is DaVinci Resolve 16. That similarly is also cross-platform. You can use a PC or a Mac for it, so that is great. There are different solutions for video converters and audio converters, which I'll let you do your own research on. But the apps that I'm using pertain to Apple Macs. Okay, let's get started. So for this project, we considered having everybody live on a Zoom call. And for many reasons, that just doesn't work. There's too much question of everybody's audio latency or video latency Latency is the difference of timing between when an event happens in real time and space and the time that it takes for it to travel through the interwebs, tubes, and cables and wires to its destination. So that timing difference is crucial to a musician. And Zoom does a really good job of compensating for latency, but when working with this number of players, it just doesn't work. So we needed a way for everybody to synchronize. I'm going to pull up a little diagram for you that I made. We need a recording guide. Way back in the day, Carl Stalling, when he was doing all his amazing scoring for the oldest Looney Tunes videos, cartoons, he created a system called a click track. And this essentially was a moving metronome, a metronome that he could say, okay, now I want it at this tempo, now I want it at this tempo. They recorded that into one audio track, and then they fed it out to all the musicians in the studio. We still use click tracks today. We use them all the time on scoring stages, for film and TV, and for whatever recording we do in the studios. We're all using click track. So we decided to do something musical with it. My partner Janice Ayler is the conductor, and so I was playing my violin as she was conducting. There was still that push and pull of the partnership between a conductor and a musician. And so we recorded that. I then took that recording and I added a click track to it. So it was moving and flowing with the music in a musical way. So it wasn't just a metronome happening. The way that I'm going to show you that is the simplest way to work is having a consistent click track. So this means that the tempo does not change, the meter does not change, even if the meter changes. If it's a click, then a player can lock into that. That's no problem. And so let's look at these options. We need a way to sync everybody's recordings together. So we create a click track. The upside is that it's consistent. The downside is that it's consistent. And so there's no tempo wavering at all for better or for worse. The adaptive click track that I talked about and which we used in our project was an adaptive click track. So I laid down a recording of myself playing violin and Jana conducting and us working together. And then I set down a click that followed that. It's a little bit more work, but it is clear, first of all, and it remains expressive. So that's great. If you've ever played one of those, played along with one of those Music -1 recordings where, it's an orchestra playing the backup part to whatever concerto you're working on, it's kind of like instrumental karaoke. It's great. That's what I'm going to talk about next. And so this is the method that I'm going to try using with my chamber groups at MRU. Having a bass instrumental part, usually a keyboard part, that plays all the way through, and everybody else can use that recording to record to and have in their ears as they play in order to synchronize. The upside is that it is musical and you can usually shape and flow in the same way. Downside is that it can be a little bit difficult to follow. If you're only on audio and you don't have video and physical cues from a performer, you can't always follow them as exactly as you might like. So we opted to do the second method, which is the clearest, and it also remains musical. But I'm going to show you how to do a consistent click track. So let's go over to Logic Audio. This is my DAW of choice. Let's just get rid of all this. Delete, delete, delete. And let's just start out fresh. We create an audio track. And this is going to feed back, so I'm going to take away that record thing. And we're also going to add a software instrument. So within Logic Pro, there's a software instrument called Klopfgeist. Klopfgeist. And this is a click sound. It sounds like this. Hear that? Okay, fantastic. So let's start our recording at measure 0 and -1, and we start in at 0 and just click quarter notes. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. When working with a grid like this, always start at measure 0, and that way measure 1, you get 4 clicks before you're in, and measure 1 corresponds with this part of the grid. So all these numbers correspond to our measure numbers. Fantastic. Let's open this up, get rid of this garbage that I made. Woo! And let's also quantize this so it is exactly to the grid. Fantastic. We choose quarter notes, we press Q, and we have a lovely click that is even and exact. Fantastic. I usually like to put instructions. And if you're, let's just go back here to our chart. So you're going to send this guide track out, whether it's audio or video and audio. You're going to send it out to your musicians. They need instructions. You need to be able to say, okay, the click is going to start in measure 0. You have 4 clicks until the downbeat of measure 1, and then you need to record your part as it's written. Or you can record in instructions into the audio file or the video file, whatever it is that you're sending. So let's do that now. Let's go back over to Logic. Now, if you're working in video, it's important to have both a visual cue and an audio cue, because later on we're going to separate out those things. We need a way to properly synchronize them back, and I will show you how to do that. Here we go. So let's arm the audio file. I'm just going to mute that so it doesn't feed back. Fantastic. We've got a signal coming in here. Wonderful. Let's give some instructions to our players. Hi there, everybody. Are you ready to record? All right, let's all clap after 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. And ready? 4, 3, 2, 1. Actually, I didn't like that 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get rid of this part and record that bit again. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. Let's play that back and make sure we have what we need. Hi there, everybody. Are you ready to record? All right, let's all clap after 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. And ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. My first 1 count is a little behind. Let's fix that. We're just going to drag this over. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. That's pretty precise. Not bad. Fantastic. So with this, we have some instructions for our players. We have a sync point that we can all clap to visually and recorded into the track. Fantastic. And we could bounce this out and send them an MP3. Let's do that right now. So we have our loop. This is our region that we're bouncing. We go over here to bounce. However it is in the program that you're working, you'll figure it out. You need to essentially bounce the material that you've created out to another type of file that everybody can read. Usually that type of file is an MP3. So let's choose an MP3. We're going to call it guidetrack.mp3 and go bounce. Here it comes. Easy. Done. We can send that out to all the players. Speaking of which, when we send things out, we have to have a way to getting them back. And working in emails is not as easy as we would like. I like to create a file submission or file request on Dropbox. That gives you a link that you could send out to everybody, and they can click on that link and then send back the file of their choosing. So that is a good way of working. So we have a guide track. Let's now shift our roles. We are now a little player in whatever ensemble that you're working with. And I receive a file. And I see that it is guidetrack.mp3. Fantastic. Let's just play it back. Hi there, everybody. Are you ready to record? And we know how the rest goes. Fantastic. Let's open that up in a player. Now here's the thing. When recording, are you ready to record? All right, let's all clap after. Stop that. Okay, here's the thing. When we record, we need a way to hear this guide track file, and we need a way to record ourselves playing, whether that's audio only or video and audio together. You can usually do all of that on one computer, but I don't think it's possible for you to do it on one phone or one iPad or tablet. So you need probably 2 devices if you're using mobile devices, but only 1 device if you're using a computer. So right now I'm using 1 computer and I've got a playback window. Let's use QuickTime Player, which is actually a really excellent video recorder. So you go up here to File, you go New Movie Recording, and there I am. Fantastic. Okay, we see audio coming in here, so that's great. What I'm going to do is pretend I am player number 1 in an ensemble, and I'm going to record my part. And my part is just going to be snaps. So here we go. We start the recording, and now we play back the guide track and listen to the instructions and follow along. Hi there, everybody. Are you ready to record? All right, let's all clap after 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. And ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, fantastic. I've got my video recording. This is it. Fantastic. Let's save that. I'm going to save that as take one. Or let's call it player one. Player one. Fantastic. We have a video file that we can now send to the other end. Let's record a second player. Let's record offbeats this time. I open up another movie recording. And I hope I can do my offbeats. Here we go. We start the recording. We start the guide track. Hi there, everybody. Are you ready to record? All right, let's all clap after 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. And ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we have our second video file. Fantastic. Let's save that and call it player 2. Wonderful. Okay, let's assume that these have been sent to our producer. Fantastic. He receives, or he or she receives, these 2 video files. Wonderful. Now, if you're working with video, video gets very heavy on your machine. It is, these files are big. Of course, these are very, very short files right now, but when you're talking about 4-minute, 5-minute files at 1080p or 4K or even 720p, these can get very, very heavy on your system. So I like to downsample. I use a program called UniConverter. I've been very impressed with this. It's, I can't remember how much it is to buy, but it's fairly inexpensive. It's like $30 or something. But you can batch convert things. So I can drag all these in. I can set the resolution that I want it converted to. Let's go down to 480p. That is going to change a nearly 50 megabyte file down to 12 megabytes. That's pretty good. And let's just convert those. Fantastic. Now you might not know this, but QuickTime Player also is able to trim videos, and this is what we're going to do next. Remember, we talked about the visual cue of the clapping, and we're going to use that right now. Fantastic. We are converted. We have smaller converted video files. That is great for us. Let's open this with QuickTime Player. And we have a slightly smaller file, but it's still pretty good quality. Let's find our clap point. We're going to do use a tool called Trim, which is Command-T. That sets up a timeline that we can drag, and we can find our clap point. Okay, I get close to it. Now I'm going to trim it again and go, I'm going to hold down my click, and that zooms in so we can have sort of a slower reaction. Let's go right when my hands contact. Fantastic. And we go trim, and we go save. Player 1 converted _ trimmed. Fantastic. Let's do that with second. Great. And we go Command-T. We find the clap point. Okay. And we hold down our click, zoom in, and right when my hands contact, we go trim. We save that. Player 2 converted _ trimmed. Now, if you want, you can get rid of those other video files, but I usually like to keep them around just in case. You never know. Wonderful. We are going to work on our video and audio separately. So I use a program called Switch, which rips out the audio file of a video file. We can drag these in. I thought we could drag these in. Hold on. There we go. And we're going to output a WAV file, which is an audio only file. We're going from a movie file to a WAV file, and we just go convert. Now we have both WAV files and video files. Wonderful. Is there anything I'm missing? Yes, I talked about downsampling. So the file size is smaller. Processing on video is very heavy on your system. And okay, we've trimmed our video so that the clip begins with the clap, clip clap, and this saves headaches down the road. Wonderful. Okay, so now we can process our audio and process our video. Let's drag in our audio into our project. So on the producer's end, here we are. We've created our guide. We've created our click. Let's bring in that other audio. So we have our WAV files. Here we are. Let's drag them in. And let's go create new tracks. Wonderful. Now we can normalize these, which means to bring the highest volume envelope to the absolute max it can be, and that way we're not clipping anything else. It's looking for the highest envelope, which is usually the clap, because that's done pretty close to the mic anyway. So let's do that. Let's line it up first. We know that we begin the recording in measure 1. Or no, we begin it on the clap. So let's look at where our clap is in our guide. 3. Okay, there it was. And it's sort of right at the -2 mark. Let's drag this down so we're looking at things the same. And let's just pull this clap over. And we're zooming in. You can zoom in on your end as well. Wonderful. Let's line those up as exactly as we can. We keep zooming in and keep adjusting. Wonderful. This is going to be perfectly in time. And let's play everything together. Here we go. Okay, are you ready to record? All right, let's all clap after 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. And ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's funny. Okay, so our trimming job didn't do it exactly. So our timing of the clap must have been just a little bit off, and that's okay because we're using a grid, we can sort of see all the subdivisions of a single beat. So let's see, is this our player 2 is our syncopation. So let's make sure our main beat is totally fine. We zoom in and then we line up that first beat. Fantastic. Let's line it up again after we have zoomed in. Perfect. Okay. Let's find our and. We move our guide, our transport guide to the offbeat of 1. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we can see that these beats are divided into 16th notes. We have 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and a. Let's find 1 and make sure that our second player's part is exactly there. Fantastic. And let's play that back. Let's see how it sounds. 4. Excellent. More or less okay. I could tweak it a little bit more, but let's progress onward. I, as the producer, would then solo these, keeping the clap sound in there. Okay? And we bounce this out. in the Elgar file, I did a lot of EQing and adjusting to people's sounds. We were all using different recording equipment, our phones, our computers, and so a little bit of processing had to happen. I was normalizing things. I was changing the frequency of each of the players with something called EQ, where you're changing the frequency shape or the frequency response to all the individual files. So, okay, we're not going to do that now, but there's lots of processing that you could do, and I encourage you to do some work on that. That's really great. Here we go. Let's bounce this out. Let's bounce it out as a WAV file. WAV files are a little bigger, but the quality is much better than an MP3, which is compressed to allow it to be a small size. But that changes the sound of it. Let's keep it as a WAV file. We go OK, and we go processed audio, project audio. Fantastic. And we have our produced file. Now let's open up our video editor, whether it's iMovie or DaVinci Resolve. Let's open DaVinci Resolve. And this is a great program because it uses your GPU, which is your video card. It takes some of the processing power off of the CPU and onto the GPU and allows it to run just a little bit faster. So with the Elgar, I had dragged in about 25 video files, and they were all playing all at once. And it was choking the system. It was just too much data for my computer to handle. So I discovered that Resolve uses the GPU, and that actually works really, really well. So let's add some media into our thing. We add these into the media. Oh, sorry, I need to be on media pool. Drag it into the media pool. Good. We change the project to match our video file. And let's also bring in our process project audio. And we're going to drag all these in to, here we have a video track. Here we have another video track. And here we have an audio track. Now, those video files have audio, so make sure you either mute them here or drag the wave envelope downward over here. I'm just going to mute this, and this should be, let's just see. Now, right now, we're seeing one video file layered on top of another one. Let's go over to the edit window, and I'm going to do a split screen thing where I'm going to say, okay, player 1 is going to be on the left, player 2 is going to be on the right. We transform it. Let's change this to 0.5. Okay, we have a little audio file, and let's change its position to over here. Actually, let's find, oh, I know what's that way. Fantastic. Okay, and so this is the way I created the mosaic that you saw in the Elgar. Let's put these diagonally. That's fun. Okay, player 2, again, 0.5. So look at that. If we divide it like this, we could easily have 6 players on this screen, easily. You can fool around with the placement of all these. Let's actually make it bigger. Let's go 0.8 and 0.8. Does that work? What about 0.75? Ooh, very good. 0.75. Great. And because we know we start with the clap, we know that the video is lined up. Awesome. Okay. So from here, we would go File, Quick Export, export the file, and let's call it final_video. You can see how useful that clap thing is. You know, we both have an audio cue, we have a visual cue, we can line everything up really, really quickly. When it gets to many, many players, having to do that without a clear sync point is like, it's not really doable. Actually, what might be even better is to have several clap cues, just to make sure we have several chances of being exactly in time. Hopefully we can be exactly in time with the instructions that you give, but that can be a good way of ensuring that we have several chances. And where is our final video? Where'd it go? Did I put it down here? Nope. It disappeared. I put it somewhere that I didn't intend it for it to go. Let's go quick export and export. Where'd it go? Oh, I see where it went. Let's just do a quick render again. And let's go final_video. Wonderful. Let's look at our chart again. So we've processed the audio, we've processed the video, we've used Logic Pro and DaVinci Resolve 16. That's great. We are rendering at this point. We've placed the audio with video, now we're rendering, and then we can release it. So we can use our various social media. If we want to keep it private, you can log on to YouTube and release it as an unlisted video or a private video. That way it's not open to the general public. Unlisted means it's not searchable, but you can send out a link to everybody. And private is where you send out a link and a password to whoever you want to see it. That can be good for security for you. Wonderful. Let's look at our final video. Here we go. We saw the sync point. Now, if we don't want that sync point in the video, what do? Let's open it up with QuickTime Player. Let's trim, Command T. Good, and I'm getting ready. I see myself getting ready. There, maybe that's a good start. Let's go trim. Let's go save. And we go final video. Finally. Very good. Final video finally. Here's our final video. Great. Okay. Fantastic. There's our video. So, as much audio processing as you want to dig into, you can. As much fooling around with the mosaic that you create, you can. It takes time. It took me about 3 days to do the Elgar editing, but of course I was developing the best practices at the same time. So that didn't, it took longer than it maybe should have. But I was really, really pleased with the quality of it in the end, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this helps you and maybe makes a few things clearer for you as you produce your own videos with your ensembles or with your students or whatever. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. You can find me on Facebook. Thanks.